Virginia. The homeowner association basically has two accounts that you hold money in, a regular operating account and a reserve account. The regular operating account is going to fund regular monthly expenses that are happening on a regular basis, your landscaping bills, all those stuff that's happening on a regular basis. The reserve account is you're setting aside funds into a separate account to plan for the major expenses that would not fall under an operating account, that would not fall under your operating budget. One of the line items on your budget says something along the lines of transfer to reserves or reserve contribution. I think last year was like $750 a year or something like that. And the balance in your reserve account currently is right at $35,000. The goal of the reserve study, the entire goal of this is to answer the question, is that enough? And how, if not, how much should we be putting into reserves to prepare for those future expenses? So as part of our process, we're estimating capital repair expenses, things the HOA would be responsible for. Again, those major repair expenses over the next 30 years. Our process started with doing a bit of homework on the community. So we looked up plat maps, recorded plat maps to see exactly where the common areas are, to see what the association's responsible for. We reviewed your governing documents to, again, refer to those to make sure we're in line with what the association is responsible for. We did a little bit of historical research on the community. When did development begin? What did it look like prior to development? And how was development phased in? And then after that, we did a site inspection where we took a look at all the different components that the association is responsible for to get our eyes on it. We're doing basically two things during that site inspection. We're taking measurements to get kind of a list, an inventory of all the components. We're also looking at the condition of those components and how they are aging so we can determine how long of a useful life they have. When will they require replacement and repair? We then take that information back to our office. I think during the site inspection, we gathered all that information. We then take that information back to our office and we developed the reserve study report. I think you were maybe emailed copies of it. I know there's some hard copies of it out here as well. Briefly on how to review that report or read that report. It's a really long document. It probably puts you to sleep if you try to read it straight through. The first 20 or so pages, 15 to 20 pages, are going to be in narrative format. We're going to discuss what a reserve study is, and we're also going to discuss what our observations were, what we saw during our site inspections, and then where we have allocated funds and a brief description of what those funds are allocated for. So kind of a plan written out. The main data, though, is all in Appendix A. That's where all the data is that we're doing our analysis by, where we've set up our cost estimating, where we're projecting year by year for the next 30 years exactly what repairs we're anticipating each year for the next 30 years and factoring in what the estimated cost for those repairs would be. We include an average inflation rate and return on invested funds as part of our analysis. So we're assuming there's going to be inflation going forward, and we're also assuming you'll be able to earn some amount of money in that funds that are invested in that reserve account as well. So